Tim Petrowich here for Dateline Marion, and our guest, as normal, on a week of football season is Marion head football coach Kerry Martin. First of all, Coach, last week there were a lot of things that you got to write on the list of things to work on for practice this week. A 25-13 loss at Granite City. Talk about overall how you would grade that performance for an opening week.
Well, it wasn't very good. We made a lot of mistakes. I didn't think we played with much urgency. I thought we came out a little bit flat. I just felt like there were a lot of mistakes made. They're fixable mistakes, as you and I talked off camera, but I think certainly a disappointing start. We had a lot of inexperience going in, and sometimes you don't know what the effect of that is going to be. And I think Granite City came out very aggressive, and I think having a lot of kids that were new for the first time in that position, we didn't handle as well as I'd hoped. And so we've got that under our belt. I'm hoping that the kids will respond better this week, and some of those new faces and new positions will play better this week.
Offensively, you struggled early on getting things going, and Brant sitting out the first half had a little bit to do with that, but there were some signs with the other kids in there of potential and things that you can build on.
There were, we started, we had some kids have a decent night catching the ball, and I think Isaac had a good first half for a sophomore, never having played in a varsity game, and he came out and played with great poise and composure and made the play of the game with a long 60-yard, 59-yard scramble for a touchdown. I mean, I was real proud of the way he handled himself and the way he led the offense in that first half and kept us in the ball game. We ended the half at the 4-yard line with a long, perfectly thrown ball. So we were in a position to tie that game right at half. We were 4 yards short, and a lot of that is due to what Isaac did for us in that first half. So I thought it was a gutsy performance by him. There were things we can build on. I think it's, as a coaching staff, when you've got so many new faces on the field, we have to try to find the personality of this football team. And you try to do that in practice and in blue-gold games, but sometimes it takes a game to know what you can and cannot do well. And so we're making some changes, and I think we're on the right track and putting the puzzle pieces together. And I think we're much further along this week than last.
You had to overcome a little adversity. We talked about the suspension and things like that, but even so, in the second series, John Dalton hurt his leg or his ankle, right around his ankle. Jordan Evans, your starting quarterback, dinged himself a little bit on a defensive play, and so there were some things that happened that really kind of added to the struggles that you faced before you went into the game.
It did. In football, we always tell the kids, football is a game of adversity. It really is. Injuries, penalties, turnovers, weather conditions. The game is built around adversity and how you best deal with that. And the team that deals with the best with adversity oftentimes is the team that wins. It isn't that bad things happen. Bad things happen to both teams. It's how you handle them. And I think we faced a lot of adversity on Friday. Some of it we overcame, some of it we didn't. And I think that comes with maturity as a team. It comes with experience. The weather conditions were pretty hot, pretty steamy. Lighting issues, thank goodness. But there was a fatigue factor, I think, that hit our kids. It often happened in the first ball game of the year when they're anxious and the adrenaline's pumping. So you're right, we dealt with a lot of things, but they did too. And I thought, at least on this given year, I think they handled it maybe a little better than we did. And we've got that under our belt, as I said. It's now something we've hopefully learned from and we can do better this week.
One of the things I think that you probably really concentrated on in practice, mistakes like alignment, missed assignments, things like that are things that tend to happen. But there were a couple of drives, offensively and defensively, where you hurt yourself with crucial penalties. And in particular, I'm thinking where you had a couple of nice plays that were taken back because of a hold, and then one defensive series where you had them stopped, and then a late hit added 15 yards and kept them going, and they were able to score. And those are the kind of things that are mentally you have to be able to get rid of.
Yeah, and those are the things that hurt us the most. We got the ball down inside the red zone and had a late hit behind the play, which was an unnecessary hit. Brought the play, brought us back, and that killed the drive. We made a crucial turnover in the red zone. You're right, we had a couple of face mask penalties that hurt us, and those kinds of shoot yourself in the foot kind of penalties, when you do those things, you don't deserve to win a ball game. They didn't do those things, we did. Consequently, they won the football game, And when I say they outplayed us, I think they out-hit us, and I think they made fewer mistakes.
When you look back at this game, 2 years ago you went to Granite City, got beat in overtime, a game where you felt like you didn't particularly play that well. You won the next 6 games and captured a conference championship. So that's obviously something that you can point to with these kids and say, hey, just because you lose your first game, there's still a lot of season and a lot of good things can happen.
It's true. We took a pretty big step that year from week 1 to week 2, and I think beat a pretty good Highland team, I believe, to start a winning streak. And you're right, we need to do that again. It would be important for us to obviously win this ball game and get ourselves back on track. But we've got to see improvement. I think we will. We always have. I think Granite City's beat us 3 times now in the series, and I think each time we came back a better football team. So if we can maintain that trend, and that ball game made us better, and made us better for the long run of the season, then I'll take it. But if it's just a loss because, we're not going to learn something from it and improve from it and gain some valuable experience, then it would be disappointing. But I think the kids came back yesterday and started the week of practice really focused and much more, I think, ready to play a ball game.
Defensively, they ran all over you in the first half. They had one sustained drive in the second half, and then other than that, a big play. So defensively, you did improve, I thought, quite a bit between the first half and the second half.
I don't think effort was an issue either. I think, I watched the film, and our kids are playing hard. I think, as I said, the defense had some new, kids in new places, some returning players, but in new positions. And there's a learning curve that goes along with that. I certainly feel like if the offense would have done what it's supposed to do, we wouldn't have put the defense in the situation we did. We ran 9 plays in the first quarter. Consequently, our defense was on the field during the hottest time of the ball game. And I don't care what kind of shape you think your team's in. If they're on the field that much, they're going to be fatigued. And I think we wore our defense out by not playing offense. And football is the consummate team game. And I think our offense let our defensive brothers down quite a bit. Thank goodness for decent special teams, and the defense played well in the second half. But we just didn't put enough points on the board, and we got to help them out.
It's a whole new ball game Friday night,
right.
And you're back at home for the home opener. And talk a little bit about, you're that much closer, and we've mentioned this before, but you're that much closer to getting to play a real game in the new stadium on the new field, and there's, I'm sure, a lot of excitement that goes with that.
Yeah, they're ready to play at home. I think they're excited. I know that we got another quality opponent coming in here, Mattoon. They're 1-0, and they beat a very good Triad team in the first game of the season, and well coached, well disciplined. We had a great game with them last year and a great playoff game in 2007 against them. I mean, it's an exciting matchup for our fans. I think to open the stadium up against a quality team ought to be a really good football game. I think in some ways we mirror each other a bit. The biggest difference is they're a little bigger than we are up front on both sides of the ball, and that's a big thing for us to deal with. And so I'm excited to see how our kids accept that challenge. I'm excited to see how they handle playing at home on the turf for the first time, and I know they're already pretty fired up.
One of the things about Mattoon, they are a team that will throw the ball, but they like to establish the running game first. Last year, you kind of forced them into having to throw some, and so I'm sure they sent a message when they beat Triad this week, because that's something they weren't able to do last year. Talk about them a little bit and what you're going to have to do.
Well, we got up 28-7, I think, last year at one time. And I think you're right. We took the running game out, made them one-dimensional, which you want to do, and force them to throw the ball. And they got back in the game. But I think the thing we have to do with Triad is we have to keep them off balance. We're not going to be able to match them up front person for person. And we know that. We're going to have to move the ball around and spread the field some and mix in the run and the pass and use our screen game effectively. And defensively, we got to make some plays. At times, our defense played really well Friday. At times, they didn't. The last drive that they went on, the 80-yard drive to take the lead against us, Granite City, we made too many mistakes in that drive and gave them too many second chances. We can't do that on Friday. I'm confident if the offense plays better, our defense will have a chance to play a lot better, and maybe we can put this thing together in all 3 phases of the game. But I think take what we've done and just get better at it. Get more of our ducks in a row, get our kids on the field, and get out and play.
You threw the ball for 250 yards last week, but the running game, Isaac had 69 yards rushing. The rest of the team had negative 20-some. How do you build on that? What are some things that you're working on to try and improve that running game, especially being shorthanded now in the backfield?
Well, the good news is if we have depth anywhere, and I don't know that anyone can replace John for the skills that John Dalton has, but we do have some depth at the back positions, and so I've got some quality kids that can step in and try to take care of that for us, the burden of losing him for at least a while. But I think ultimately there are ways we can use the passing game as the running game, and we can throw the quick screens and we can do some things, but we just got to get better blocking up front. We don't have a complicated running game, and most people know that. It's a pretty simple system. I think when you start so many new faces up there, as soon as they saw the film of this last week's game, they were able to recognize a lot of mistakes they made. I think you're going to see a much better team blocking up front this week. And we ran the ball about as poorly as we ever have since I've been here in 12 years last week. And I definitely think you're going to see more yards on the ground than we saw last week.
Well, and that's one of the things we talked about is the inexperience in that offensive line. And even one game makes a world of difference when you're talking about experience.
It does, and we always tell the kids, we can live with the inexperience thing for a week or two of the season, but by the time you've played 3 or 4 high school games as a starter, you can't use that excuse anymore. We're not excuse makers anyway. We got to get better this week, and you got to find a way to get better. First game of your career, second game of your whatever, find a way to get better and get results. And as I said, we've challenged them all week long to improve. Stay after if you have to. Talk to your coach. Study the film. Do the things that you've got to do to make yourself more prepared to play in this ball game. And we got to go out and get it done.
And you don't want to call this a make or break game, but obviously it's a whole lot easier to go forward in the season from 1-1 than it is from 0-2.
Yeah, it's too early to have a make or break, but I feel the same way you do. I've challenged the kids that this is a big game for us, and we've put ourselves in a situation to make this a big game. And in me saying that, they know that. They know that it's tough to be a playoff team at 0-2. It happens. It can happen. But let's don't put ourselves in that situation. We got a tough conference to play in. Some teams that have really improved. We need to win this ball game against a quality opponent. Learn from our mistakes and get back on the right track.
Mattoon Green Wave come in Friday and 7 o'clock game time. Get here early. Parking's at a premium.
Yeah, parking's not a good situation here. It's going to be rough the next year or two, especially this year. I think it's the worst. Get here early. If you get here late, plan on walking from great distances, but get here and let's have some fun on Friday.
And even if you have to walk, it'll still be an entertaining game.
Still be an entertaining game.
Kerry Martin, head coach of the Marion Wildcats. We'll see you Friday for Dateline Marion. I'm Tim Petrowich.